Oh, this could be an opening. The man they want to have the opening. It's Lauren Shetland. That is the moment. The moment of madness.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to Hearts and Sleeves podcast, a podcast that is all about Heart of Midlothian Football Club, its fans, and the ups and downs we experience on the way, both on and off the pitch. This week we're joined by Adam and John. Trunter has failed to respond to our invitation. He might join us come the end of the podcast or not, but we will battle on anyway. How are you, John, and how are you feeling, Adam, about the result at the weekend? It was a 1-1 draw against Dundee United. Still remaining undefeated, though. Only team in Britain who are undefeated, so it's not all bad.
Yeah, feeling alright. I think probably after the game, I was pretty down, to be honest. I know it's a weird feeling saying, to be top of the league unbeaten, to be feeling down, but I think it was just there's obviously a few worrying signs from the game. But yeah, like you said, we're still undefeated. Still at the moment 7 points clear. It's not as bad as it seems.
I think it was the hardest, of the week draws so far. It was the hardest one in terms of against Motherwell we came back in spectacular fashion. Against St Mirren we came back. So it was the first time we were leaving a league game, where we hadn't come back or we hadn't won or got a draw late on. So at the time I was certainly feeling really disappointed. I still feel a bit disappointed, but not terrible. I don't feel terrible at the moment.
I think as well, though, like what you're saying there is the first time that it's been a sort of different feeling. It's the first time we've not looked like scoring, in any of the draws. Like St Mirren, you kind of felt we had enough to get a goal. Motherwell obviously proved it, but you still felt like a goal was coming the whole time. But something about that second half, it just felt different. Like it felt there was nothing. Like it felt like we could have gone on for another hour and not scored a goal. It just wasn't working.
You're right. I mean, I think the St Mirren Cup game, the St Mirren League game, and the Motherwell League game, I felt like if we'd played another 5-10 minutes, we'd have scored and we'd have won all three of them. But this one, yeah, like you said, I couldn't see us. It didn't feel like we were going to get a winner, and that's quite a rare feeling this season so far. It's the first time, maybe the first match that I've really not seen us doing that.
I think for me, when we came away from the St Mirren draw, the league draw, and in the cold light of day, we're thinking, okay, fair enough. Come the end of the season, this could be a game we look back on, and think, well, that was just 1 point gained rather than 2 points lost. And the performance wasn't. You could find more excuses for the other performance, I think. With this one, I don't know, I came away feeling this is one of those ones towards the end of the season we might regret not getting 3 points rather than feel happy about the fact we got a point. And quite honestly, this could have been quite easily our first loss of the season.
I think it's the first time it's felt like a disappointing point. Like Motherwell, obviously coming back from 3 down, you're like, do you know what? That shows character. St Mirren, tough place to go. We managed to get back into it. This one just, especially I think obviously being at Tynecastle, like maybe if it had been, away to Dundee United, for example, and we'd got a point, maybe say, okay, we've gone away from home. Maybe not the best performance, but we've still got a point. But obviously being at Tynecastle just feels a bit different.
And what I'd also say is, I remember McInnes said after the St Mirren draw, McInnes said, if we beat Dundee, then the St Mirren point looks much better. But at the time, I thought it was really the case of if we beat Dundee and Dundee United, the St Mirren point looks better. So it's almost like dropping points against Dundee United after having done that against St Mirren. Suddenly there's a little bit, some signs of kind of cracks maybe this season. So this one coming on the back of the not long ago the St Mirren draw, I feel like it just made me be a lot more worried than all the other matches have as well. And also we've got a hard run of fixtures coming up. quite a few away games, quite a few games against the teams around us. Feels like a wasted opportunity, really.
And after we sort of cover the match, we can look at what fixtures we've got coming up and also just what that point means in the table. And we'll kind of look at what potential points we might get from those games coming up and how that might affect league positioning or otherwise. We'll go into all of that. I also think, kind of going back to how I felt after the St Mirren game compared to this one, with the St Mirren one, you can kind of put it down to they're our hoodoo team. They're this season's Kilmarnock at home. That's one we always seem to never get anything from. It didn't, and also you could kind of pin. It didn't feel so much of a tactical thing with St Mirren. Yes, there were some questions over it, but overall, I just felt it was more down to a couple of the key players not at their best. Whereas this one, there's a sort of a number of issues that I'm talking like this is defeat. We're still unbeaten. It is funny speaking like this, isn't it? But there's some issues with this performance. I think I do think the international breaks kind of come at a good time for us. To be honest, there's that feeling of sometimes after a bad performance, like the St Mirren one, you can just come back, and then if you get a win, everything's rosy again. But the fact we've had that win and then come and had a pretty poor performance, I think we need to just take a wee break for a couple of weeks, which we're going to get anyway, and reassess everything. And part of the reason for that is because we found out before the game, kind of through rumours initially, but then it was confirmed by McInnes that Benny has been injured and should be out for, I think, was it 6 to 8 weeks or so? It's a hamstring injury in training. I was I don't know, when I found out about that, it's a funny one because maybe last season, if I'd heard such a key player getting injured, I just thought, right, season's done. But this one, I kind of felt a bizarre sense of optimism, thinking, right, this is exactly what the team, certain players in the team need to get a chance to play and provide something different. We're not going to be able to replace Benny. He's got such a unique set of skills, but that's okay because we can bring in other players who have other certain aspects to their game and can actually take a shot on target, hopefully, as well. What was your feelings about Benny being injured?
You know what? It's a weird one. I think you kind of expected it to come. You've almost been waiting for that moment where he's going to get the injury. It happens every year. So I feel like almost like you said, there was a bit of optimism about the thought of like Magnuson starting, but yeah, I don't think it's a real shock with Benny. It's coming at some point. So kind of you're expecting it, I think.
I made the mistake of saying John last week that he's not been injured for ages as well, so I'm going to take a little bit of the blame for Benny finally getting injured.
Cost us 2 points.
Yeah, I do think what John says is right. I mean, with a guy like Benny, he's going to miss a decent amount of games each season. But I did also feel a bit like Jamie in terms of, our squad's so strong, we can deal with Benny being out for a few weeks. But yeah, he has been such a key player, him and Devlin. So I think it's going to be tough without him. I mean, we should still have the strength to deal with it. But I think he's a really huge loss.
That affected how the team lined up. Obviously, when I heard that Benny was going to be injured, I wondered whether it'd be McEntee coming into the middle of the park alongside Cammy. But my hope was that Magnuson would get there because I've still not seen enough from Borchgrevink, and I don't think McInnes has seen enough from Borchgrevink to put him on the right. And sure enough, that is how it panned out. He's kept McEntee over on the right. McEntee didn't have the best of games, it has to be said, but he wasn't the only problem in that game. So the team lined up back four, Milne, Finlay, Halkett, McEntee, Devlin and Magnuson in the middle. The thing that concerned me more than that was the fact we had a front three of Braga, Shankland and Kabori, and obviously Kizaridis. My feeling was, and it certainly ended up being that way, at least for parts of the game, that Kabori would be pushed out to the right. We've seen him a couple of times there this season. He just doesn't look like he should be there. You don't get the most from him. Yeah, what was everyone's feelings about that lineup?
I think I would agree with maybe not starting Kabori. I think he would have been better coming off the bench. But weirdly, I said this ad at the time. I actually thought we looked more of a threat when we had Kabori on the pitch.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think he was going for everything in the air. He was making good runs, and like the second half, we just looked like we couldn't create anything. Like, we lost something, and it looked comfortable for them. So I don't know if maybe it would have been better leaving him on the bench and then bring him on as that threat. But yeah, I don't know what you think, Adam, but I thought he wasn't actually that bad, Kabori.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that lineup, but then I also had a little bit of optimism, thinking, "Wow, this is we've got so many attacking guys. This could be an exciting performance." I think it was also it was hard to know. Sometimes it was hard to know who's going to play out in the right and who's playing through the middle. I felt like in terms of positions, it wasn't 100% clear whose role it was to be on the right, like Braga or Kabori. But yeah, we've seen Kabori play twice, haven't we? Start on the right hasn't really worked out. So I feel like maybe he's the guy that we just need to start in the centre or bring him on as a sub, like John said, because I think it didn't quite work out. But I also agree with John that I felt in the first half we could score another goal. Second half, I just thought we had nothing in terms of goal scoring threat.
I think actually, I'm going to go against obviously what you're saying there a little bit, but I think they actually worked quite well when they weren't all sticking to positions. Like when sort of, the front three of Bar Shankland, obviously, but Braga, Kazrides, and Kabori, they were kind of like interchanging where they were going. And there's quite a lot of like 1-2s in that first half. So it depends, obviously, what they were told, but it looked like when they were sort of free to go wherever they want, it was working. But I do agree, if Kabori's just gets stuck on the right and he's like one-on-one with someone, he's not great. Like, he's not suited to that.
I think also, to be fair to the Kabori and actually McInnes as well and the rest of the team, we've had a very similar sort of setup for almost every game this season, and part of that is Benny being in the centre, and we've had to chop and change things quite a bit due to him being out. And we only found it, I think the injury only happened on the Friday, so it didn't give the team a huge amount of time to gel. Just kind of hearing what you're saying there, John, I'm wondering if that team had, even a week or two more to spend training together, working on that formation, maybe that would have worked better.
Yeah, I know what you mean, sort of tactically wise. Maybe, as you said, they've had that sort of set game plan. Maybe that does come into thinking. You think, okay, if Benny's not going to be there, we're going to have Magnuson. What do we do with the right-hand side? Do we drop Milne back? Yeah, I mean, I thought, to be honest, I don't think Milne really worked at left back. They didn't look comfortable at all. Every time the ball went past him, the guy, I don't know who it was on their right-hand side, but got past him quite easily. It's a difficult one, but I think the biggest thing for me was, like, I think Magnuson had a game, but I feel like he's not him next to Devlin doesn't quite work. I feel like he's quite a different player to Benny. You need someone who's going to sit next to Devlin. They're going to link the passes together. Whereas Magnuson was sort of going like back to front, constantly, which is obviously good, but I think you just need a bit more of like a solid two in midfield, and then maybe if we didn't start Kabori, we had, say, Magnuson, Devlin, and then maybe even like Spittle in the middle.
Yeah.
I had like that three. I think it would have worked better. And I was actually quite surprised that Spittle didn't come on at some point. because it just looked like the second half, the midfield just it wasn't there. Like it was Devlin against 3 of them in midfield, or however many they had, and he, to be fair, he dealt with it quite well, but I feel like that's where the game was lost in the middle.
I do think that Benny and Devlin, obviously, it's been such a successful partnership this season, and Magnuson hasn't quite worked alongside Devlin, well, on the basis of that match, really. But I have to say, like, pretty comfortable on the ball, and the slight issue is that they're going to be working together for the next few games, I'd have to imagine, unless he brings McEntee in there, which I don't think he's going to do, so it's no intention of.
That's something though that I definitely agreed with you when you said earlier, it's McEntee in midfield.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would have made a massive difference. Just even having the physicality, and he gets about the pitch, McEntee.
Yeah.
But again, that obviously comes back to what you said about Borscht as well. Is he up to standard that you can trust him playing right back and put McEntee in midfield? Or do you maybe play Kingsley and put Milne to right back? There's definitely some selection issues, there where we're lacking. I think that's got to be number one priority in January. It's got to be a right back. Without doubt.
Jeez. History repeating itself or what, eh?
Yeah, never looking for a right back.
I think also what's really frustrating is that we need Magnuson and Devlin to just spend time with one another, get to know each other better on the pitch. But I mean, it's great for Devlin, but he has been called up for the international break, so they're not going to have that time together, which is obviously quite frustrating.
One thing I'd probably say that I think would have maybe worked better, maybe not necessarily the players we have now, or might work better in future, is if Benny's out, put a 3 in midfield. Like obviously we had Kabori starting, it's effectively almost like a front 4. If you just put, the 3 in midfield, you maybe have, say, Magnuson and Devlin next to each other, or McEntee and Devlin next to each other, and then you have someone like Ajew who can play further forward. Because I thought I don't think he looked too comfortable. Maybe it's fitness wise, or maybe he's not so comfortable sitting deeper. Like he looked better against Livy when he was going forward. If you maybe put 2 in centre mid, Magnuson and Devlin right now, and then play Ajew in front of him, or even say to Braga, play a little bit deeper, like as a second sort of striker, and maybe link the play a little bit more, like make runs off Shankland, and stick to like having the 2 wingers, or I just think we're missing that in the midfields right now, and obviously missing Benny seems to have had a massive effect.
I think we'll come and talk about Ajew more when we look at that second half, but let's go into that first half then. Adam, any overall thoughts on that first half? Obviously, I know you want to talk about the Kouzaridis goal, but anything else you want to discuss as well?
Well, me and John at the time actually were a bit more positive about the first half than I feel like you were, or a couple other people we spoke to at the match. I kind of feel like if we'd gone in 1-0 at half time and kept that same starting lineup for at least sort of 10-20 minutes of the second half, we might have gone on to win it. I felt like losing that goal made sort of that made McInnes make changes at half time, which it felt a bit strange. I know we were talking about the first half, sorry, but it felt a bit strange making 2 subs at half time when you're 1-1. It's not like we were getting annihilated or anything. So I felt a little bit more positive. It wasn't a great performance, but I felt a little bit more positive than I think some people did about how we looked a bit vulnerable at the back, because it was the main concern. But I in the first half, I thought it was going to end like 3-3 or something. The first half looked like both teams were going to keep scoring. I think that kind of our attacking threat kind of died after that half. So it was worrying from the defensive point of view, but I didn't think it was that bad a first half, to be honest.
John, any thoughts any thoughts on that first half? Do you want to talk about either of the goals at all?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'll say is I think and this is probably a credit to McInnes. I think what we've seen so far is he's got 90% of the starting lineups right. 90% of the time he's got the subs right. I think the one time, or the two times, sorry, that we've maybe seen him get it wrong has been St Mirren and Dundee United, and that's maybe where we've performed a little bit poor. I think it does just get chalked down to maybe he's gone with the wrong team and made the wrong decision at half time. I agree with what you're saying about the sub with McEntee coming off. I think although he maybe should have just pushed him into midfield and then maybe taken Kabori off and put Kings on, take Kabori off and push McEntee forward. I think that could have worked. As far as the goals, I think the Kazuri's goal is what we deserved. I think we'd had a few shots. We'd been the better team to that point. There'd been little flourishes of good play. And again, it's just another well-worked set piece. I feel like we're saying this almost every week, but it's a set piece coach paying off again. It clearly works. As far as their goal goes, I'd firstly say never a foul. Never a foul from McEntee. Yeah. And then we just switch off from the corner. It's unfortunate, but yeah, you'll get punished for that if you do. I think it was too easy.
That was a really rare bit of defensive frailty from us from a set piece. We're usually pretty reliable, but it was just, completely unmarked. A decent header. I'll give him credit where it's due. Shvalov did his best, but just couldn't keep out, unfortunately. And after that, I just think we got a wee bit spooked. Made those substitutions. And the one that I think had one of the biggest impacts, other than the Kabori one, was that AWOL one. Taking off Magnuson, who I felt, like I say, I think he was quite solid for most of the game, to be perfectly honest. Still needs some time on the pitch and time to gel with Devlin, but by and large, I think he looked pretty promising. AWOL just, I guess he put AWOL on to provide more of an attacking threat, but he just didn't seem to really settle in that game at all. Mm-hmm. What were your thoughts on him for that 25 minutes he was on for?
I think me and Adam kind of spoke about it at the time, about whether it was maybe fitness-wise or just him being like sort of sitting further back. He didn't look quite as maybe confident to go forward. And again, it probably comes back to that thing of if you'd kept Magnuson on and maybe made the sacrifice of, I don't know, taking a defender off or taking one of the attackers off and then letting AWOL sit in front of those two, would he have been more effective like Livy? Like, I don't know what you think, Adam. I think we kind of spoke about it at the time, maybe saying he was quite deep. He wasn't really going forward enough.
Yeah, I mean, he felt like a totally different player. Against Livy, he came on and looked like a bit of a threat, made a bit of a difference. Against Dundee United, I felt like he didn't look that confident. He didn't look like he was particularly trying to get involved. He didn't do a huge amount. I mean, there was some guy sat near us was already shouting out that City's a hoodie, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. He's not played more than like 20 odd minutes in a match yet. So I think it's way too early to make any kind of judgments. But yeah, I'm not sure if it's fitness, if it's the position he was in. But what we saw against Livy was a player that looked very promising. In this one, he didn't look confident at all. You could kind of tell, like, within a few minutes, it just looked like it wasn't going to be his day. And maybe it is because we were, it was a home game, we're a bit of pressure. I'm not sure, but I think he is our record signing. He is the top guy in the analytics. So I think we've got to give him time, certainly.
Yeah.
Knee-jerk reactions are ridiculous at this point, but yeah, it wasn't a great performance, that's for sure.
I think as well, I feel like McInnes did almost shoot himself in the foot with the subs, because it did mean when it came to that later stage, it was like, you've already put on the defense, you've gone defensive. Anything you do now, you're going to have to take one of the attackers off or take one of the midfielders off.
Yeah.
I just think he got it completely wrong. I think if it was you, Magnuson or McEntee and Devlin, any of that three had been in the midfield, I think we would have controlled it more. Like they had that guy Kamara, who last time we played them at Tannadice, absolutely strode the whole game, controlled the midfield. And again, Benny obviously wasn't playing in that game, but it just looked so comfortable for their midfield. Like we didn't have enough in there, and yeah, I think he kind of again we just made the sub because we thought, oh, I'll chuck him on, I'll take the other midfielder off, but it just didn't work.
There is a lot of pressure on him. He knows he's the biggest signing we've ever made. He's come in and had just brief cameos and then got himself an injury. That in itself is going to knock your confidence. If you're not a particularly confident guy, I have no reason to doubt he isn't a confident guy, but it's a lot of pressure to put on someone. He is our most expensive ever player. You won't fail to have noticed some of the social media hype over him. If you've seen anything like open goal or players that, players either current or ex-players, they've all talked him up. And if you hear John Robertson, for example, talking about how he's our highest rated analytics player, if we've heard that, then almost certainly he's going to hear that as well. So I do think there is just that confidence issue. I'm sure it will come, but that just didn't feel like the right environment for him against Dundee United.
I think again that does come down to like McInnes' subs, where it was kind of like he's looking at the bench and as I said maybe he could have put Spittle on, but he's probably thinking why put Spittle on when I've got this guy who's going to be so good, he's worth this much. It's like putting him on that pedestal obviously, but there's maybe a bit of McInnes going like I have to play him. I can't just leave him on the bench when we're chasing the game, or people are going to be like, well, why would you not put the star man on, or 1.7 million player. I just think we made it difficult for ourselves with the subs, and what probably doesn't help him as well is that in that second half, obviously the players that you would usually look to, like Braga, Kazarides, were having a poor game, and in fairness, a lot of that is credit to Dundee United. I think because Kazarides, they just doubled up on him, they completely nullified him in that second half, and maybe if you're you're coming in going, he's passing the ball to him, and then maybe because he's getting tackled, he's going, shit, like, well, these are the players that are meant to do something. If I'm sitting further back, like, who do I pass it to? I think maybe his passes were a bit more sort of conservative after that.
I think that's something we also do need to talk about is the quality of Dundee United squad. I mean, they're certainly up there as one of the strongest in the league, and we do have to give them credit where it's due. They fought and deserved their point here, and quite easily could have had more goals. Obviously, they had 3 disallowed, all fairly, and I think that's actually pretty well played by our defence. I think the offside trap worked pretty well for them, to be honest. Adam, do you want to come in?
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing I was thinking about after the match was maybe the pressure of being top of the league unbeaten after all this time. Maybe that's starting to take its toll a little bit as well. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'd have gone on and win that earlier in the season, but now you're 12 games unbeaten, top of the league. Suddenly, there's so much pressure on us to win every home game. I don't know. It's possible that that's starting to, like, the crowd are getting more nervous, and it's possible that's having some kind of impact on the players, but I'm not sure, to be honest.
Also, teams are learning how to play us as well. After that comes around the fixtures, they know what to expect now. Yeah, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, we were a surprise. We were almost a surprise package. I know we bought in McInnes, but I don't think there's no one out there that expected us to do so well.
Yeah.
So I guess we're also like a target for these teams. And yeah, we're no longer Braga, Kazarides, and all these guys are no longer kind of new shock players. So I think this is a hard time once you've had the first round of fixtures and you're playing everyone a second time, and you've got to try and keep it going.
It's trying to come up with new ideas as well. I think you can't look at like Kizzy, for example. I mean, that second half they knew just put 2 on him, and every time he was taking a touch back, there was someone ready to like press him straight away. It can't always be on him as well. Like, obviously, he's a great player to watch when he gets the ball and he drives at the defender, but it feels like, especially in that second half, it was kind of like, well, either we hit it long, hope someone knocks it on, or give it to him, hope he somehow skins the guy.
Yeah, I mean the goal he scored was obviously really good. I know there was
Yeah.
a little bit of luck with the deflection, like with the own goal, but it did feel like a second half they'd kind of nothing was coming off, and maybe that was tactics from Dundee United, like how many players they had on them. But yeah, you kind of wonder if it's not working out for Kizarudis, maybe that has a big impact on the team. So maybe we have to have some more options that can work.
Yeah. I suppose that's the point in Chesnikov coming in, isn't it?
Yeah,
You know, that gives us a different dimension. I feel like, you know, I still think we should be looking at another left winger as well to be like sort of pushing Kizzy. Well, obviously there was the links with that Ken's a bit guy, whoever real they are, but just someone like that who's going to, because obviously on the right, you know, you're looking, it's either like Kabori's on the right or Milne's on the right, or you've got Krajota on the bench, but like you want to have that competition. Like, I think when Chesnikov comes in, he's going to be the number one on the right, and it'll be, you know, between like Kabori, Krajota to try and get involved in that side. But yeah, because he could do with someone who just not so much like keeps him on his toes, but if he's maybe is having a poorer game or struggling a bit, you can say, right, we've got someone who's, you know, just about as good, or if not as good, who's going to come on and can make a difference.
Yeah, it's almost like taking a little bit of the pressure off him rather than competition. And I feel like if he's not doing great in that half, I'm not sure who else we had, you know, in midfield that was really going to create anything.
I suppose that's the issue with Milne playing further back, isn't it? Usually teams have got a couple of players on the wings to contend with, but they just really had their focus of Kizaridis down that side. Going back to Kenzabek, there was kind of in the newspapers today. So originally there was rumours of us having an interest in him. He's a fellow international alongside Chesnikov for the Kazakhs team. But it sounds like if we ever had interest in him, which I don't think we did, it's cooled off. And it sounds like Dundee United, funny coincidentally enough, are interested in him. And yeah, the reason I sort of want to bring it up is just because we kind of had a discussion earlier about was there any interest in the first place? I'm not convinced there was. Just with Jamestown Analytics, they're never going to play their cards, you know, in front of all the other teams, are they? Rumours like this tend to come about because either an agent is trying to garner interest, which I think is the case here, or the club have put something out, which I can't imagine is at all the case. Because if you look at most of our signings, was there any talk of McEntee, any rumours of Kizaridis come in, Magnuson come in? No, there wasn't. So I think that any interest we might have had, apparently, I think was probably generated by a Kazakh or something from Kazakhstan, either be it newspapers or agents or so forth. That's my thoughts.
No, you're absolutely spot on. This one's definitely the agent because he's out of contract in December, so I can't imagine his club are trying to get a fee from him when he's leaving in a month anyway. But I think it all comes down to the fact that our scouts were watching Chesnikov and like playing for Kazakhstan, and an agent's just gone, right, brilliant. He's going there, get a link to him, and then we'll chuck in another team like Celtic, try and make it seem like there's some battle going on for him. But to be honest, I mean, I've watched a fair bit of him just from watching like Chesnikov for Kazakhstan, and I would take him if he's on a free. He's 22, free agent, looks decent for Kazakhstan. I mean, if he's available, I would take him.
Yeah, I was about to say, when I saw him, I thought he looked really good, actually.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think, I think his performances were every bit as good for Chesnikov when I saw him. But yeah, if it doesn't look like that's going to happen for us either way, but it will provide a lot of extra options. Well, a big option for us when Chesnikov does come in, and on the basis of the game at the weekend, then I think it'll be a very welcome addition. I want to sort of also look at Magnussen again. Creativity. We heard, we talked last week how he could potentially be a bit of a box-to-box player. Did you see much in the way of creativity from him during the game?
I don't know what you think, Adam, but I maybe wouldn't say so much creativity, but I think what you did get was someone who looked completely unfazed. He just got on with it. He looked forward a lot of passes. He wasn't afraid to take the ball, which I think was the biggest thing. Maybe, he wasn't playing that killer pass or, maybe necessarily trying to look for like a through ball to attack or something, but I thought he looked really comfortable for most of the game.
Yeah, I definitely felt encouraged by what I saw. He had a good shot as well at one point, didn't he? But I certainly felt like he kind of breezed into the team, and I don't think he's gonna. Unlike Azure, who kind of looked like he was lacking in confidence, I thought Magnussen looked pretty comfortable and composed, and I think he'll do well.
I don't want us to sound negative, about everything, but it's actually bizarrely refreshing to have a game that we can actually talk about constructively and look at all the issues. Because if we'd won that, say that won it from Kizaridis right at the end, didn't go straight to keeper, or the keeper spilled it and went in, we probably wouldn't be talking so much about everything and going into granular detail. In fact, I'm certain we wouldn't have. But it does give us a chance to really go through everything and see where the issues lie. And I do think actually a lot of it in the games that we've had where we've not looked entirely at it, but we've still got, managed to get a win or whatever. It's just purely from the quality of players we've got, because I do think they can. I'm not saying McInnes has got a tactics wrong on several occasions, but I just feel we've got the quality of player for a lot of certainly bottom six teams, where it almost doesn't matter too much about the tactics. We've just got such high quality players in positions. I don't know what your thoughts about that.
It's nice being able to talk about the other signings, to be honest. Like Mags in a bit more detail. Having having a bit of a different, instead of just being like, "Oh, I played 10 minutes, he looked alright." Actually being able to see a bit more from them is good. Actually, I didn't think Kajota was too bad when he came on. I thought he looked
Yeah,
quite up to speed. Don't know what you think, Adam, but I feel like it's quite nice to be talking about different players for once.
Yeah, I mean, all the attention's been on a handful of the guys so far, so there's still a few guys that we haven't seen much of, and even Magnussen. That was Magnussen's first start since a St Mirren League Cup game, and Kajota still barely played. So I think, yeah, really nice to be able to talk about
I feel
those
like
guys.
Madsen could potentially stay in the team,
Yeah,
be more involved, almost more than Aju at the moment. I think he'll, as McInnes has done before, sort of maybe phase him in a bit more once he's got everyone available. But
yeah, and Magnussen has been come on as a sub every match. I think the last 7 matches before that he'd come on as a sub, and that kind of suggests to me that he might become a starter. With Benny. With Benny being out, I could see him. Certainly probably ahead of Kajata and Kabori and
yeah,
Aju. I think Magnussen's the one that we might see start a few games.
I think he looks up for it, which is maybe something you maybe say. Again, it's obviously they've only had short sort of spells, but I think maybe Aju and Kajota maybe have looked a bit more quiet, a bit more maybe not nervous, but maybe played a bit more reserved. Whereas I feel like Madison, every time he's come on, he's put himself about. He's looked up for it. Like he's chased everything, which is what you want to see, to be honest. Actually, I was going to ask something about the first half. There was a tackle on Finlay in the first half. Me and Adam at the time thought it was awful. I don't know what you thought on watching on TV, Jamie, but it looked like the guy absolutely snapped him.
Yep, it did. I know exactly when you're talking about as well.
Yeah,
I
late
don't know
from
how that was.
behind.
It's just unbelievable. I mean, Beaton was just absolutely all over the place. Terrible, I thought. And injury time as well. How do you get 3 minutes injury time? And apparently the stats are I think the amount of time out of play in that match wasn't longer than average, and yet we
It
got 3
was
minutes injury time.
47 minutes or something in total. The ball was on the pitch or something. Like
Yeah,
that.
I mean, it was absolutely. I mean, we saw McInnes go crazy. John mentioned that McInnes had gone crazy on the touchline before the board had gone up because he'd obviously heard how many minutes there were going to be. I mean, I'm not saying we would have won the game, but you
No.
never know. But I don't know how. I mean, they seem to be time wasting from the first minute as well. But I've got absolutely no idea how that was 3 minutes of injury time. Just,
It was just so
I mean,
inconsistent with the decisions, though. Like, obviously, how
yeah,
people booked later in the game, and we started telling each other like, "What? That was like less bad than their
yeah.
one." Like, it was
It was,
crazy. I just didn't get it.
Beaton kind of becomes the center of attention, doesn't he?
Oh, he's got a terrible record for he's
It's
useless.
just, yeah, it was the worst reception I've seen for a referee for a while.
I,
At the
I've,
end of the game.
I don't know if you guys have seen much from Dundee United fans online, but apparently they think they were hard done by. Can't believe it.
Well, when both sets of fans are pissed off at the ref's decisions, then you know he's had an absolute stinker. So
You just want consistency, though. But I was talking
totally.
to this Dundee United fan at my work, and I was talking to him. Like, we're both just saying, like, you know, as a fan, you're not going to be annoyed at the end of the game if you go, "Oh yeah, that was a booking. Yeah, fair enough. You did the same thing. It was a yellow." Like, if it's consistent, then everyone is going to agree. They're going, like, "Do you know what? Fair enough. At least you did. You kept it the same. You can't give one as a yellow and then not give the other." Daft.
Maybe we should pull Rangers and just be like, aye, we're not playing any games if he's a referee. Do you remember they did that a couple of
Statement.
seasons ago?
We'd get a points deduction for that, wouldn't we?
You say they've got a meeting with the like review panel for the for the VAR or something
Unreal, isn't it?
about that kick in the head. Crazy.
Anyway. You know, like, I don't want to talk about referees too much after games like this because it does. I prefer to talk about them when we've won because otherwise it can sound a bit like sour grapes. However, it is a draw, therefore I do feel we've kind of got some ground to talk about it without sounding too much like sour grapes. However, it's just unavoidable how poor a performance it was, and the 3 minutes at the end really was the cherry on top for me. Again, you know we could have gone on and lost that, but you just want consistency, you want fairness, especially if you say that the one team is doing a bit of time wasting. So very frustrating. I appreciate Dundee United didn't have any substitutes, but we had 5 in that second half alone.
VAR check as well.
VR check, exactly. Offside goals. Yes, bookings. There was 6 bookings in the game, which obviously there'll be all, and they were all in the second half, incidentally, so that would have all contributed. Obviously, one of those bookings we should talk about. I think it's one, you know, when we preview the Aberdeen game, we'll talk about it more. But Halkett will be out for that, which is obviously a big loss for us. Kent hopefully should be back in for that game, though. I'm hearing so.
I'm not the biggest fan of Kent personally.
No.
I'm not. I think he's looked good at points, but I just don't think he's quite up to the level. And to be honest, I think I'd rather almost go with Steinwender or maybe put like Kent in with Steinwender, then push Milne to start right wing back or McEntee to right wing back.
Mm-hmm.
Or put Milne left wing back and McEntee right wing back, and then you've got the sort of a bit more attacking from them. But I don't know. I'm not convinced by Kent. I've kind of had that opinion from the start, so maybe it's just an agenda, but it's just not
Well,
my favorite player.
I think, you know, when he came in, I thought, you know, because our centre back options were so poor at that point, I was very happy with him, to be honest. But when you see the difference in him and what we've currently got, particularly with Halkett and Finlay, there is quite a notable difference. It's good because at least we'll have options. And yes, whilst I don't rate him that highly, I'd like players to be competing for those positions. My feeling is I'd rather have someone like Steinwender just come in, and I think that probably will be the case, but at least there's options there, and I always like there to be people pushing for starting berths. And, you know, I think Kent will certainly be away in the summer, if not before. So you want him to get some minutes because you know he's going to be basically fighting for his career. You know, his next phase of his career, and I do feel you tend to get the best performance out of players in those last few months.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it is good having the competition, and I mean we're going to have other players who are going to be like suspended. Like I don't think Finlay's that far away, so that means you're looking at McCart, you know, or maybe Kingsley playing centre back. So you're right. You've got to have these players ready to go, I suppose, if they're needed.
I hadn't even thought about McCart. You know that?
Yeah, it just came to my mind when you were saying there about obviously competition. I was like, well, who would go the other side? Oh yeah, it'd have to be McCart.
He's back, isn't he? But he wasn't even
he
on the bench.
He was on the bench the last 2 games.
That's interesting, that, because you know McInnes spoke really highly of him in pre-season training. So the fact he's not even getting on the bench at the moment, that is a bizarre one. I suppose, look, it's due to the fact Steinvender's had minutes, Kingsley's obviously been played quite a bit.
Yeah, it's the flexibility.
Borchgrevink's
Sorry, I was going to say it's like the flexibility, isn't it, though, of having
Mhm.
Steinvender and Kingsley who can play both positions, whereas McCart is. Well, I personally think he can only play centre back. I couldn't see him playing left back or really pushing any further forward. So probably just having the ability to rotate the other ones.
And Finley's obviously McInnes's man. He specifically chose him. I don't. Did he choose? No, I don't know. He didn't. McCart came in before McInnes, didn't he? So
Yeah.
he would have chosen him. And Halkett's just been undroppable. So in that regard, yeah, flexibility is what he's gone with the bench at the moment.
Here's an interesting question. Sorry, just going to say an interesting one maybe to consider as well is McEntee obviously played centre back the whole of last season at Walsall. Walsall was it him? I think it was him. Do you think there's a potential that maybe at Aberdeen he goes into centre back because he's obviously been playing quite well and he's played the majority of the games?
Cat amongst the pigeons there, John. That is an interesting one.
I don't see it happening, but it's obviously another option. Again, you've got another one there where you go, could he just drop back? I mean, it's something he's done before, and he's playing well. Do you think maybe consistently just keep him?
I can't see it. I mean, I can see how it could work, but I think you'll put Steinbender in. Is my prediction. Like, I don't see Kent getting chucked in from the start either. So, yeah, it is an interesting one. It could be the best shout of the season if it happens.
Yeah, I'm just thinking if he's done it for so long, would it be almost easier for him just to slot in? But then I guess you've got to think about the right back. Unless Milne goes there, Bosch.
Is he going to chuck Bosch in, and is he going to put Bosch at right back and McEntee at centre back? Because that's a pretty big gamble.
Yeah.
McInnes has occasionally made position decisions that we've not expected. I mean, Milne's obviously the big one, but the fact that McEntee, we've kind of not glossed over it, but we've just accepted that McEntee has, become that position right back, well, it's not really what we expect from him. So he's not out with the realms of possibility. I guess if you do put him there, it's more, I would have no concerns about having him in there. My concerns, as you've kind of already talked about, is elsewhere. Like, would you go for Borchgrevink? I guess it kind of gives you up. It gives you the chance, right? If they're not doing so well, maybe you could just simply bring. Oh no, this is difficult, isn't it? Because
I mean, if you think about it, if he did start him at centre back, and then you maybe just say, for example, you've got Milne at the left or Kingsley on the left. Just say Kingsley starts left back and it's a flat back four. You maybe put Milne at right back.
Yeah.
Work. You maybe then put Steinbender and push McEntee up, or move Milne over to left and go to like a 3 at the back. It's just pure. It was just came to my head, and I was like, it's a different option as well. But
yeah,
I can't see it happening. But it's interesting to think about.
It's not out with the realms of possibility, put it that way. We've seen him do stranger things. We're looking at you, Milne. But yeah, We shall see, and we'll go into the sort of expected lineups and have a clear idea of who's available when we do our Aberdeen preview. Before that, though, I do want to just kind of talk about the points. And before we come on to our loan watch and our quiz, I do want to also just really look at what the points mean to the league table. So we are currently on 30 points. That result is, and with Celtic winning, has taken them to 23. It's cut the gap to 7 points. We know that. And Celtic have a game in hand. Now, I've been looking at what our next few games are before we face Celtic and what Celtic's next few games are before they play us. So they've got St Mirren at Smiza and then Hibs away at Easter Road. Then they welcome Dundee to Celtic Park. That's all before they play us. Points wise, what do you think Celtic are capable of getting from those?
I'm going to go for like a narrow victory against St Mirren, and then a draw against Hibs, and then a comfortable win against Dundee. So 7 points
there. And then, so we've our next ones, and also worth noting, they've got Feyenoord in between St Mirren and Hibs, which might affect things for them as well. They've got a pretty packed schedule actually. Then what we've got is on the Sunday, so it's the day following the St Mirren away game for Celtic. We'll be playing Aberdeen away. Then we've got Motherwell away. Then welcome Kilmarnock. What do you think we can get out of those 3 games?
I'm going to go for 7 as well.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of my thinking.
Yeah.
I was looking at the maths of everything, and if we want to continue to really put pressure on teams like Celtic, we're going to drop points, right? That's just a given. It's just games like Dundee United at home are not games you'd really want to mathematically lose points on, because Aberdeen away, for example, that's one, we've not won there since 2016. I'm not saying we can't do that now. Aberdeen, they've either been poor or flattered to deceive. I've not been impressed by them at all. Yes, they've picked up points here and there. They've picked up performances here and there, but there's just no real consistency to them. And I don't think there's any reason we can't go there and beat them. However, it is a difficult place for us. There's no getting around that. And it's one you would expect us to drop points from. So if we did get 7 and say Hibs, try again, if Celtic got 9, so if they won to, St Mirren, Hibs, and Dundee, that would take them up to 32. Now, if we got 7 points from Aberdeen, Motherwell, and Kilmarnock, that would take us up to 37. Now, say they managed to get a win at Celtic Park against us, that would then take them up to 35 with a game in hand. So it's just like I'm not trying to catastrophize or anything, but just kind of trying to emphasize the importance of getting wins in games like the Dundee United one. So it leaves you a bit more leeway in games such as the Aberdeen game.
I think you're spot on with that, to be honest. I think if you look at historically in the last few seasons, Celtic don't drop points at home. If we want to be challenging, we have to be taking as many points as possible at home. You maybe like a point on the road, you say, okay, sometimes it's when Celtic have struggled. Look at the Dundee game, for example, it's been away from home. More pressure on them, not their ground, but at Celtic Park they don't tend to drop points. And I think the only real chance of them dropping points is probably when we play them there, Rangers play them there. You maybe even chuck Hibs in and say potentially Hibs could get a point or something there.
Yeah, there's no other teams you'd really sort of have to. I mean, maybe a season or so ago. Well, in fact, a season ago, Aberdeen did manage to get a point there, didn't they? But they've just not looked anywhere near the same team. It's going to be a difficult December because we've got Kilmarnock at home, who'd expect us, to turn over, to be perfectly honest. But then Celtic away, Rangers at home, Hibs away, and then Falkirk away, which again is kind of. I'm basing this on historic ones, such as our League Cup showing there, but that could also be one of these ones that's a bit of a tricky game, right at the end of the year, away in Falkirk. That might be a tricky one.
Rangers struggled there. Hibs struggled there.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely not an easy place to go. And
Yeah.
regardless of them coming up, I think they have looked good. Like Adam, you predicted that at the start of the season. You thought they'd do really well, or better than maybe some of the other teams in the league. And yeah, I think I watched the game they had against Hibs and the game they had against Rangers, and didn't look scared at all, to be honest. Even the Kilmarnock game, I mean, they beat Kilmarnock 3-0, was it? 3-0 or 3-1 or something? Like, they're clearly decent at home.
Yeah, I mean, we absolutely battered them at Tynecastle, to be honest. But yeah, you're right. Their home form's been pretty solid, and you know what? They're only 2 points behind Rangers and Hibs, sitting in fifth. So yeah, it will be a tough December, and it's important for us to get points where we should be getting points, where this team is more than capable of getting points, I think. Okay then, right, so before we switch to international watch next week, we're going to have our final loan watch. Has there been much happening then, John?
People have been playing. Whether or not a lot's been happening, harder to say. Yeah, it's been a few. I'll go through them quickly. Danda finally got back into the Dundee team. Obviously lost 2-0 to Rangers, but he did get on for half an hour. Doesn't seem like he was particularly involved, which I feel like it's maybe been a theme for him this season. You're not quite getting involved in it. Macaulay Tate didn't get on against Falkirk. Obviously they drew 1-1 with Livy. Livy drew 1-1 with Falkirk, and he didn't even get on. I think he's completely fallen out of favour there by the looks of it.
The bad books, definitely.
I mean, after that handball, I kind of get it, but
yeah,
kind of thought he might get a chance. What about Bobby McLucky played for Hamilton 3-0 against Peterhead. Got 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm just sort of going off what I've seen. He didn't score or assist, and that's sort of kind of what I'm tending to look at, unless I've seen someone online about them, having a really good game. Then Montrose lost 4-0 to Alloa. So Sandilands and Gus Stevenson both played in the game. Stevenson played an hour, and then Sandilands came on for the last half an hour at the end of the game. But yeah, 4-0 hammering's not great. Positive news, Kenzie Nair, another full 90 for Spartans. They drew 1-1 with Forfar. I think that I mentioned it a couple of episodes ago. Obviously, their centre back got injured, and he seems to have been in since then. So he's now the main man in their centres.
Johnny Kenzie.
Well, it's good, yeah. At least he's finally playing.
Mm-hmm.
Next one we've got Strand Roar, so they've got Plank and Gillies. They drew 0-0 with Clyde. I think Gillies started the game and played, I think it was 62 minutes, and then Plank came on for him for the last sort of half an hour or so. So again, they seem to be sort of interchanging the two of them. Most weeks I see they're playing minutes. Maybe it's one plays a little bit longer than the other one plays the next game. Forrester, he didn't play again.
Poor Forrester, honestly.
In fairness, Liam Smith scored, so I think he's just completely lost his place in the team. So I don't know if we'll maybe see him come back in January and go somewhere else.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not going to mention Vargas didn't have a game, so nothing for him. But I think he's away on international duty just now anyway. McFarlane, he actually obviously played for Alloa against Sandlands and Stevenson. Got a clean sheet again, which I think second or third game in a row he's got a clean sheet.
It is.
So
he's doing really well.
Yeah, I do think he's probably the main one out of the sort of loan players.
He definitely is, yeah.
Yeah, that's them all for this week.
No, thank you very much for that, John. Now, do you want to do your quiz, or do you want Adam to go first? Do you want a wee breather? What do you want to do?
I can do mine if you want. It's again, like I was saying this to Adam earlier when I was having a look through it. I feel like some of the players that I've picked have we've probably used them before. So I need to
That's
go back.
fine.
I think I'm going to go back at some point through the episodes and I'll write them all down, the players we've used, and
Mhm.
like the clubs. So we can have like a list of them maybe, so we don't don't repeat. But I've got a backup one just in case this has been repeated. So
Right.
I think I found the team that's got 4. So I was trying to pick 2 of them. So it's been a bit difficult. I'm going to go for Jamie Walker and Stephen Humphreys.
Bradford.
No, well, they both did play for Bradford, so I never thought of that. You're right. It's not the
I
club
was
I
going
had.
to say that, but I thought it was too obvious.
It's not the club. It's actually not the club I had, but I completely forgot about
Is there another team then?
that. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'll give you another player that played for the other team instead.
Okay.
Benigni.
Wigan.
Yeah. Well done.
Yes.
I honestly, I found 2 of them, and I was like, actually, didn't he play for them? Oh, didn't he play for them? Turns out we've had 5 or 6 players that played for Wigan.
Yeah.
We just recently. Oh, well, that was quite quick. Do you want the other one because it was so quick?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Kevin Kyle and Papadon Riss. Joe Barrett, obviously.
Yeah. Won't be Sunderland, I can imagine. Trying to think who Poppadom Hands is currently with. I'm sure he's doing really well with them as well, aren't they?
He's been at a couple of English teams, hasn't he?
Yeah.
But
I'll give you a little bit of information about. I don't think this will help at all, but just for context, his average rating in this club was 5.3.
Huddersfield or someone he started at, was it?
He was at Man U to start with.
No, I mean after Hearts.
Is that your final answer? Yeah, it's Huddersfield. Yeah, no, it's yeah.
Is that not who he went to? Is that not who he went to not long after Hearts, and then everyone went on social media saying he was absolutely terrible?
Right after.
And then he moved on to another team, and he's done quite well for them, hasn't he? Reading or someone?
He went to Valwijk in Holland, and then went to Reading.
Yeah, and he's doing well for Reading, isn't he? But he was awful for Huddersfield.
Yeah, I think he conceded 6 goals in his first game or something like that.
Yeah.
Right, Adam, do you want to give us your one?
Yeah, so I've just gone for a straightforward one. A list of all the Hearts players of 100 plus appearances. There are over 200, but obviously a lot of them are from long before our time, so you're not going to know half of them.
Yeah.
And we'll do 3 lives each, so you get 3 1 guesses before you're out. But we'll just take it in turns, starting with Jamie.
Gary Mackay.
Yes. Let me find them on the list. Sorry, this is gonna be a harder one. Yep, 640 appearances, record appearance holder.
My mind's gone completely blank.
Are you kidding?
Not genuinely. My mind's gone completely gone. Gordon.
Yeah, 330.
No, I can't think.
John Robertson.
Yep, going for all the classics.
Yeah, why not?
He's actually, I think, second highest, 632.
I'm going to go for more recent ones. Shankland.
Yep. Shankland has 152. Oh, it's 152 on London Hearts. I don't know if it's updated, but 152.
I will go for Stephen Presley.
Yep, 332.
Michael Smith.
Yeah, 203. This could take a while.
I'm having a mind blank there as well. Henry Smith.
Yes. Jamie's just going for the 80s team.
I'm just going recent. That's all I can think about.
The good thing about the 80s is most of the guys played millions of games. So
This is exactly my line of thinking, to be honest. So,
Yeah, but I feel like I'm at a disadvantage. Like,
John, there's honestly plenty. There's
but see,
plenty from.
all I can think of is all the random players we've had like through that spell from. Like,
Don't go for the random ones, right?
No, that's what I'm saying. That's all that's coming to my head, and I know it's wrong. Berra.
Look, yes.
why am I making this so difficult for myself, honestly?
It's a lot easier, really.
I'm just making it. Yeah,
I had no intention of making this. I thought this was an easy one, but it's
it
taken
is.
10
It
minutes.
is an easy one, but I'm trying not to go for the old guys, but they're the only ones that I can. Right.
It's going to be recorded next by the time Aberdeen game.
Jim Cruikshank. I don't
Bloody
know why I'm
hell.
going to. Yeah, I know I'm going way back, haven't I? But I don't want to risk going for like one of the new
John,
guys and then being like,
you got
actually,
in 1977. I wasn't even born then.
yeah.
Never was Jamie.
Jamie McDonald.
Yes, hopefully a future podcast guest.
Fingers crossed.
I haven't spoken to him yet, but hopefully.
Has he had it? Craig Halkett, has he had 100 yet?
Yeah, 155.
Mm. He's one I was really worried about saying because I just thought, oh, 'cause he's been injured for ages. Like,
I've got a couple like that where I'm like, oh, I don't know if they've actually made it or not.
yeah.
Again, this is sort of some of that. Jamie Walker.
Yep, 240, easy. Because he
Oh,
was
yeah.
obviously had 2 spells at us, didn't he? So
Again, I think he had a lot of injuries that
I
started
know.
doubting myself.
It doesn't take that long when you think about it. If you play 3 full
Yeah.
seasons, you've made it to 100 games. So I should have gone for much higher than 100. Sorry.
Cammy Devlin.
Yes.
This is where I'm getting nervous because I'm going to go for his centre midfield partner, but the injuries are making me think they might not have made
I
it.
know.
Yeah, I'll say Benny.
Yeah, 109. Don't worry.
Oof.
By the way,
I was-
it's not close.
Averaging 10 games a season, probably.
Brilliant.
Yeah, 100 was way too low. Sorry, I should have.
Zalikas.
Yes, the most appearances for a foreign player, 222.
Stephen Kingsley.
Yep.
Mikulinius.
Yes, 125. This is going to take a while.
Trust me, it won't because I'm already.
I'm struggling. Barry
You're
Mackay.
missing some. What, sorry?
Barry Mackay.
Yes, 114.
Oh, wow.
Joe Sked named him in the best starting 11 of this century. Or was it the last decade? I can't remember. You got pelters for it, though.
Alan Maybury.
Yes, 134.
I think I've got one. Robbie Nielsen.
Yes, good one.
That's a very good one.
249, actually.
Michael Stewart.
Yep. Regretting this game, but yeah, Michael Stewart, 121. I mean, yeah, a Hearts legend, not.
Trying to remember what's been said.
I can repeat it, don't worry.
Templeton, maybe?
Yeah, let me just check you will, I think.
Thinking
Templeton's a no.
how many is he on?
John, you're right. I'll double check, but John, you're down to 2 lives. I think let me check Templeton. He can't. Was he maybe not at? It's when he was a youngster. He didn't really play for us much until he was like early 20s. So he's on 95. Yeah, I'm lucky. So John's down to 2 lives. Jamie.
Rusey. I'm assuming he must have had quite a few.
Oh, sorry.
Rusey.
Yes. You do have an advantage here, actually, Jamie.
I do, don't I? But
In fairness, John, you're a bit younger, just a little bit.
Ryan McGowan. Don't know if
No,
he's just under again.
fortunately, that's another one. He's only got 72. Kind of like Templeton, he took a while to break into the team.
Yeah.
You got one life left.
Oh no.
Stefan Adam, I'll go for that era again.
Yes.
I'm going to go for the other McGowan, Dylan.
Nah, John, you're out. Sorry.
Oh well.
Motherwell.
Yes.
Motherwell.
Jamie, do you want to just keep going until you get one wrong, and then we'll stop?
Yeah, go for it.
Sure, why
We're
not?
We're not going to do 3 lives because it's just going to take forever.
Peter Haring.
Yes.
Oh, shit. Kevin McKenna.
Yep.
I'll go back to Mark De Vries, maybe.
No, only 90.
Ah, well. There we go.
The Scatcher one.
Yeah, Vinny Scatcher was a fairly... I made 2 spells at us. I'll give you the most recent ones you didn't get. So you got one current player who's on 140.
Kingsley, did I say him?
Nah, we
No.
said him already.
Nah.
Anyone see
John's-
Craig Gordon?
Yes. John's favourite current player has 140.
Oh my god.
Forrest,
Alan.
Yeah.
I did think about him, to be honest.
Another of John's favourite players who left in the summer. Midfielder.
Oh,
Oh my
George
God.
Grant.
Yep.
How are these shitters getting 100 appearances for us?
Australian left us earlier this year.
Atkinson.
I was going to say Kai Rolls, but
Kenny Rolls Atkinson's not on the list.
Fair enough.
Northern Irish
sleeves.
started off.
Lafferty.
What?
Lafferty?
No, I was going for William Boyce.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just Alex Cochrane, Andy Halliday, John Suter, Jim Blabin.
So it is an international break this week, but we will be back next week. Not any games to report on, but we are delighted to say we'll be joined by Paul Beeson, and he is someone you may well have seen play at Tynecastle, or should I say, in a play at Tynecastle, because he is one of the founders of Two Halves Productions, who's done a number of productions at Tynecastle itself, including the fantastic War of Two Halves. This is our story in Suite FA. We're really excited to have him on the show to talk about them, talk about Hearts, and also talk us a bit about his mental health journey as well. So do join us for that. It's going to be a fantastic one. But before that, please do join us on our socials. You can find us on Instagram, you can find us on X, and you can find us on Blue Sky. Hearts and Sleeves podcast and all of those. And if you're listening on a podcast platform, please do subscribe if you haven't already. Give us a like if you haven't already, and give us a review as well, please, or do so or comment as well on our YouTube channel. Thanks a lot, folks. Look out for each other, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.